Welcome back. It's Jack. Day 6 of reacting to old Rudy videos to see what we can compare from 2020 in today's video's case to current 2026 market and conditions. Singles versus sealed. Where do you stand? Where is your line drawn? Let's go.
And why, in your opinion, do the singles of Pokemon not seem as attractive to you similar to the singles of vintage Magic cards? That's fascinating. Okay.
I'm going to preface by saying I am a sealed only investor collector, bro. So I'm a little bit biased, but since I've joined back into the hobby back, when Champion's Path came out, whenever that was, 2020, 2021, early Sword and Shield, my buddy was like, dude, Champion's Path, 2 Charizards, best set ever. Of course it was. It was the best set at the time. There was never a best set, but anyway, I digress. So since getting back into them, I've gone through the whole cycle of getting all of the modern singles, which then transitioned into wanting getting graded slabs, which then transitioned into master setting, which then turned into I want to get every card of a specific Pokemon, which then transitioned to looking at the higher end slabs just because they contained the most value, which then transitioned into the actual boxes that contain these cards with the high value and just the overall effort levels that are associated with dealing with singles, raw or slabs versus sealed product. I'm absolutely biased against sealed, but that's due to my own experience and my own thoughts that I've gone through over the years. And while I may not have been making any sort of content around it, I still have been existing in the space, going through all the ups and, well, I guess mostly ups since Sword and Shield. Kinda. There was a little bit of the downturn bear market there for a while, but I was still buying product. Just I was opening the living shit out of every pack that I got because I didn't know any better. I didn't know the potential that sealed product had. If I did, I would be generationally up right now comparatively to where I'm at, which I'm still up, but hindsight's 2020. So that's why I've started to go down this little bit of a content journey and learning from old Rudy videos because it seemed like a good time. He literally made a video that said, if you have a YouTube channel or want to start doing it, just make reaction videos to what he said in the past. So here we are.
I don't like how the numbers and the ratios are. For example, everyone's obsessive compulsive thing with the Charizard situation with base set unlimited or first edition Charizard. It's an amazing, iconic piece of Pokemon history. Always going to be worth a lot of money. It is what it is. Not going to downplay that. But I find it fascinating on what the value of a played base set unlimited Charizard, a near mint base set unlimited Charizard, and then you go right to a PSA 9, PSA 10 range, and how that chart in that range of data looks. It's that, to me, that is the most bizarre thing to me. That's what turns me off. That's what puts me in the fetal position in the basement crying at night. I can't, I'm not comfortable with it.
Disclosure, in his video, he mentions he's only looking at WotC era base set cards just for the sake of ease of numbers. And, you know, while it won't be, I guess, a perfect one-to-one because those cards and prices have gone absolutely bananas, the actual vintage cards, there's still the general theme here that the highest chase cards from each set, whether it's in a raw value versus their PSA 10 value, that discrepancy, that crazy up and to the right, drastic, almost straight up line, especially in today's market, is what makes Rudy, and I guess myself overall, a bit uncomfortable with dealing whenever you're thinking about purchasing a product of some sort, whether if it's a card or a sealed box itself. That is where I get a lot of my uncomfort, uneasiness starting to come into play because, again, I've talked about it before, but the number of graded cards will infinitely only go up as time goes on, and inversely, the population of the boxes that these cards come in while simultaneously going up will only go down because people are ripping and opening, trying to pull the card themselves to, you know, chase whatever feeling that their little heart desires. So That's the first reason, I guess, why I personally am now a converted sealed enthusiast. The second, I guess, it just kind of has to do with your overall goals as a whole. I mean, what do you actually want to be doing with your Pokemon product? Do you want to be going to every show every weekend, setting up, hauling, all of your cases and all of your cards and all of your slabs? I've done it a few times. It is actually a lot of work interacting with people multiple days in a row for, if it's a multi-day show, is draining, at least personally speaking. Maybe that's your vibe and you energize off talking with people, and that's great. I'm all for it. If you want to do it, do it. I'm here just saying that I personally do not enjoy all of the extra effort that involves dealing with singles and slabs, where you kind of have to have your nose to the grindstone, especially in this type of market, to truly take advantage of all of the gains that we're seeing right now on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. That, again, you're sweat lording up every single card show. You're hitting up all of your local Facebook groups. It's just not for me. I mean, I, like probably most of you, when I'm done with work, I just want to go home and chill. And the idea of doing card shows every single weekend, while sure you can make money, that's just not how I want to spend my time. That's not how I'm going to prioritize my time. And when you look at how sealed actually performs also in the long term, again, kind of going back to goals, whether you're here for short term or long term, or just have goals. Once you have goals, you need to know where you're going in order to get there. If you don't know what you want to end up doing, it's going to be much harder to actually execute on the strategy. Again, something else we've also already talked about on this channel. So the effort levels is just not something that I want to deal with. And, I can go buy a sealed case or a sealed box, put it in a nice acrylic if I'm feeling super crazy and zesty, but I can just put it in my closet, let it be. It will accrue value. I don't really have to worry about, is the market conditions right now, is it going to be easier or harder to liquidate? Is this the right time? Is it the wrong time? Timing the market is also an idea and a concept that it sounds great in theory, but in actuality, is that a word? In reality, there we go. It's a lot easier said than done. Timing the market is, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying if you take a long time horizon, you will probably mess up at least a couple of times, because again, you don't know what's going to happen either within the market itself or extraneous circumstances that will inevitably impact the little market that you're operating in. Again, you don't have control over a lot of things that you might think you actually have control over. So being a sealed investor, bro, really neutralizes a lot of some of those conditions, habits, and just overall effort levels that you have to observe and actually carry out on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis. It's actually a much simpler topic than I initially thought it was going to be in talking it out, even though I've had this internal monologue for a very long time and I've talked about it with people chatting in Discords or YouTube comments, live shows, or even just in real life at card shows. I mean, I still go to card shows, but as a participant, not someone who's vending all the time. So you're still able to make relationships with vendors, business owners. You're still able to develop some of that reputation, that sales funnel that you will inevitably need as a sealed investor, because at some point, in 5-10 years, when your box that you've been holding has accrued enough in value, you're going to need to find someone to offload it to. The craziest part of the singles versus sealed question and all TCGs actually has nothing to do with the singles versus sealed products themselves. It always comes back to what you actually want to accomplish with your goals when investing in shiny cardboard. Are they short or long term? Have you actually written any of them down? How long is it going to take to achieve them? What are the roadblocks that could potentially happen? Are you set up for this? What will be the exit strategy? Simply going through these motions and asking yourself these questions, you will actually be inherently more developed and planned than, again, 95, 90, maybe even almost everybody in the hobby, because so many people in today's day and age are just coming in blind, throwing money at the product, the cards, and that's about it. That's about as short-sighted as it gets. So you don't necessarily have to be in the long term. I truly don't care if you're a sealed versus single collector. To each their own. There are positive and negatives to both. Again, it really just comes down to what you actually want to obtain, achieve within this hobby, and how you want to go about actually executing said strategy. Personally, I'm more the low effort, low risk. It's not a question that sealed in my mind is the better way to go about it, but that's just me. There are a lot of people out there on the internet that you and I probably both watch, that they set up at shows, and we've seen the $100,000+ deals that happen, and sure, that's great for them. They're killing it. Every once in a while, I think to myself, man, what the hell am I doing? I could at least attempt to do something like that. But again, when you start actually mapping it out and thinking about it, the risk is just not something I'm comfortable with. And I can still participate in a fun hobby in all the ways that I still want to by simply buying the sealed boxes, putting them in the closet, rage baiting people on the internet. It's actually a great time. I might highly suggest partaking in doing the same for yourself. So at this point of the video, we'll probably wrap up here. And my question to you is, where is your line drawn in the sand? What do you want to do? Do you know how you want to do it? Have you written down any of your goals? Do you know what they are? Are they 1, 2, 5, 10-year goals? If you do any of these basic thought processes, you will be set up for success compared to 99% of the dumb idiots, Timmies, in the hobby right now. Do some basic due diligence. It's GG. Let me know what you guys think. Post your strategies below. Am I stupid for being a sealed investor, bro? Should I be flipping singles left and right? I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say. We will, in fact, be talking very soon. Bye-bye.
You see what I'm saying? I'm just not on board seeing a common card that may sell on eBay for $100 and someone buys a PSA 10 for $20,000. Like, to me, the ratios don't line up. And again, not saying I'm correct, but I'm saying it's outside where I would be comfortable making any moves with my own money. And that's what I'm getting at with everybody who's dealing with this Pokemon. And I feel the sealed boxes of Pokemon are very, very low because, again, especially now, everybody wants to crack them. They want to do these different packs online, live streaming. I think the sealed product for Pokemon is going to remain the ultimate thing as that attrition continues to go forward.